Amy. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I paint a floral design on glass. I will be using this glass candle holder, flower holder, candy holder, whatever you want to use it for, centerpiece, whatnot, to show you the glass painting design that I'm going to do on this. I do like to remind you that I paint on this glass and then wash it off and repaint using these for my videos, so there might be a little leftover paint on them, but I'm basically using them to show you how to paint the designs that I'm creating. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this. If you do, make sure you subscribe to my channel, give me a big thumbs up, and share this video. There's a button underneath the video which makes it very easy to do. I am going to start off today by using a number 12 flat brush, and yes, my brushes are very well used. We'll be using a number 6 Deerfoot Stippler. They're awesome for stippling the inside of a flower. I will be using a dotting stylus. And then I've started to use these a little more. These are my Dynasty Glass Art brushes, which, I really haven't used them that much in the past, but I'm finding that I really do like them, even for, they're really good for base painting, single colors, or even if you're doing a couple different colors, not the one stroke per se, but creating designs that can use a couple different colors, but they're definitely great for base painting projects. So I'm going to be using a number 1, and well, actually 2 number 1s. One is more like, I don't know what the difference is here. One is more like a script liner, the other one's more like a flat brush, but they're just different types of brushes. These are more like round brushes, number 3, number 5. I may not be using all these, it just depends. I use them in my design that I created on paper, but I may not need to do that and use all these on the actual design on the glass. The paint that I'm going to be using today is Happy Green, Thicket, Magenta, Autumn Leaves, Moon Yellow, and I'm still using the Vintage White. Now, these are all folk art products. They are a combination of the multi-surface and the enamel paint. Both are good for glass painting, so that's why I'm using them. Alright, so let's get started. I apologize, my furnace is getting ready to start up. Apologize for that, but let's go ahead and get started with this. This will be not really exactly the same as the design I did on paper, but it will be similar. Alright, so what I'm going to do on the first, actually do the flower petals, I'm going to dip my brush into the autumn leaves. I'm also going to dip it into the magenta and then do the other side, which will have the vintage white. I do have some flow medium, it's actually not flow medium, it's clear medium on here too. Use that on the paper because the brush doesn't move as well on the paper when I'm creating my designs. I just keep tapping into these paints just by the corners and continue on as I am doing it. Alright, so let's get started. The first one is going to be up here towards the top, and I'm going to kind of do, it's not a straight, not a real wiggly pattern, but it's really not a straight, what I want to say, because you can do a pattern like this where you come down, you bring it up, come down, and then go up kind of deal. I am just doing it like this and kind of maybe more of a ruffly type flower in a sense on some parts of it, but not all of it. I need to give myself some room here. I am going to turn this as I'm creating, and so I'm going to do this again, just kind of ruffle it up here and bring it back here. And I hope you understand what I'm saying, because I kind of turn my brush as I'm doing this, and one thing that's nice about being able to do this on glass, where you can actually keep moving it around. Makes it a lot easier. Now this can be a 4-petal or a 5-petal flower. It does not have to be any certain amount. And I'm not creating it as a certain flower. It's a design that I'm doing. Okay? So you have some ruffles there. I could go ahead and throw in another petal up here. I'm just going to leave it as it is and continue on. I am going to be turning my brush, though, just so you know, and creating with the lighter colored part of the brush and kind of rotating these. And this can be, when I was doing it on paper, can be kind of a long video, so I don't want it to be too long. I mean, I'd like them to have some length to them, but not to where you get to where you're not interested in it anymore. That's the hard part. But you see, it's kind of nice. I'm still using the same colors, but I'm rotating it so it gives it kind of a different look. And I can actually even come back in here like this and use the darker color on the bottom. And then that gives it a different look too. See? I'll show you more like that. Now, I didn't like how this kind of ended up here, so I am going to go over and kind of touch it up a little bit, because I don't want it to have the paint kind of separated like it looked like it was doing. Okay, so then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start just kind of off to the side here, bring it up into the flower a little bit, flower above, and then continue on. And like I said, it doesn't have to be all wiggle, all roughly. The whole flower does not have to be like that. It's just part of it. Or you can make it all roughly if you want. Up to you. Okay, so on this one, whoops, I tipped my paintbrush wrong. I am going to do this. And I'm going to start out here, and I wiggle it up into here a little bit. Like it like that. Because I do want to be able to tap a center into it as well. So I don't want to get it up here too much, but you can do it like that. I can still tap a center up in here. Whenever you're painting these, if you feel like it's not opaque enough, definitely make sure you go back over it if you wish. You can give it some drying time and do that, or you can just leave it as it is. Okay, so on this one I'm going to go over here, just give it a little bit of space, and I'm going to go over here, and it's going to be kind of roughly. I think on this one I did do pretty much a roughly pattern. And I don't know if you're not sure what I'm talking about, please let me know. But by roughly, I'm meaning that, okay, I'm doing like this, going up, and I can just turn my brush a little bit, like that, go back over it, bring it back down, go back over it, and come like that. Now on paper, you could do it a little bit differently, but that's the gist of it. Again, if you think that it's too wiggly and you don't like it, then by all means, don't do it that way. Okay? Pretty easy. And like I said, I do just keep turning my thing, my item that I'm painting on, not my thing. But I go ahead and keep turning it just so that it's easier for me to paint it like that. Now if you get into here and you don't like that kind of lifted up the paint, then just put some more paint on it. I was going to do it a little bit differently, and then I decided I'm just going to keep it easy for this one and then maybe as we go along I'll do it a little bit differently. Okay, so on this one I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to do a little bit of an up kind of a leaf petal. It's not the whole thing. It's not going to be, you know, coming into the whole bottom part of the flower. I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to go like that. Okay. Now I am planning. I'm trying to do some different things here because I'm trying to grow my channel. I really would like it to get a little bit bigger. So I'm going to try on some of these to give you this place where you can go and download whatever it is I've painted, the actual design, so you can use it, put some wax paper over it, or you can use it to actually create or recreate what I painted, if that makes sense. And then then you can give this a try and paint on the glass. It'll give you actually a place to practice. Alright, so then what I'm going to do here, turn my brush around, because like I said, I can do the light on the top, dark on the bottom, just kind of gives it a different look. And I think I'm going to turn it. It's easier to do this for me if I'm going a certain direction. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Let me do this again. Pick up some more paint. Alright, so let's do this again. I'm just turning it, wiggling it, come back. Okay? And then I'm still going to leave, it's the dark part on the bottom. And then I can come in here and just kind of leave it and just wiggle it back up into there. So let me see if I turn that brush right. Not sure if I did or not. Didn't pay attention how I don't think I turned it wrong. As I say, don't do what I'm doing. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. But anyhow, you have the darker and then you have the lighter petals on top. Get the gist, I hope. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to create on this are a few buds. And I have to remember I have these spread out a little bit more than I typically would. And I'm getting a lot of paint on my brush, so if you feel like you're getting too much paint, it's going to be too messy, then by all means clean your brush off and continue on. Alright, so I'm going to do little buds up here and try not to hit the paper. Okay, I'm putting I just want a little tip and bring it out. I'm going to make it a little fatter. I'm going to do it here again. Just going to have a little tip and bring it down. And then I'm going to do the same thing, a little bit over here. I push it down and push it around. Hopefully you can see that. Me being left-handed, I always like to try to mention too, if you aren't comfortable with the way I'm doing it, it could be that you need to do the opposite direction because I am a lefty. So therefore, it could be that what I'm doing doesn't work for you because of that. So definitely try whatever direction you're comfortable with. Meaning, if I start on this side, that's what I'm comfortable with. You might have to start on the other side and go that direction. Okay, so these are going to be my little buds. So right now, this is what I have. Probably a little bit more spread out than I would like it to be, but it's fine. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to give this a little bit of, just a little time to dry, I'm going to take my liner, or my script liner, which would be this thin little, it's the number 1, but it's like a script liner. And I am going to start putting in my stem. Now granted, if you'll keep in mind, on my actual paper, this is just like a branch, like a single flower branch. Could be a rose. It's not really, again, not a specific, but it could be like a flowering branch of some sort, just so that you understand that's where it's coming from. So basically I'm taking this and I'm pulling this over like it's going to this branch. Now obviously if it were going down the glass further, this wouldn't be swinging over like it is, meaning it wouldn't be like that. It would be a little bit more in the realm, and we might have to do 2 branches. Maybe this is a 2-brancher. Who knows? And then I'm going to do the same thing with these buds. Bring them down and pull them in. And do the same here and bring it down, pull it in. And it could even hook up to this one more, you know, like going over this way as opposed to going down. This one is like it's drooping, so I'm going to pull it up into that one. Again, this is just the basics of doing this right now. I'm going to tip it into my Happy Green and continue on working it. You know, just so you know, this is just the beginning part. And maybe put a little part into there. And, oh, you know what? I think I got off the path, but that's okay. We'll just make it like it's going into this one. And you'll see by the picture I post on the video what I'm talking about as far as the branches and such. Again, with this just being a glass piece, you know, I typically would, if I were going to be selling this, would go around the entire piece. I would not just do the front part, or, you know, three-quarters of it or half of it, however much it actually ends up being, since I went around it further. I would typically want the design to be all around it, because I'm assuming if you're using it on as a centerpiece, if you're using it on a candy table, if you're using it as a candle, you would want that to be the case. Okay, now on this one, since I'm coming up here like that, I can actually put in, or I could just leave it the way it is, which I'm just going to kind of not put too much into it, just like it's kind of hooked to it, but not totally, you know, showing the actual, I don't even know how to say it, the actual attachment there. It could just be straight on. You didn't have to do any of that. I think in my sample I didn't. I just showed it like it was hooked, like it just went to it. And then I'm going to continue over here. It's fun. It was a fun piece to do. Definitely long though. I just always worry about my videos being too long. Okay, so I have that part going on. What I want to do, and I will probably do that here, because I want to put some different kind of leaves in, kind that I've never really, I don't think I've drawn any of those on to a glass piece before, like what I'm going to do here. But I'm just putting a little, kind of a little stem, little branch, however you want to look at it. I can do that over here too. That's going to be a place for me to do bigger leaves. And let's do maybe some here. I don't want to do too many because the leaves that I'm doing are very time consuming, because it's not one stroke, it's just painting them. One thing nice, if you are somebody that's getting into this, you might want to take some time to learn some of the basic leaf, you know how to say it. I'm going to put another one over here too. Leaf designs, or you know how to draw leaves, the shapes basically. Alright, so again, I'm going to try to keep this simple because of the video time, but I basically draw in, and this is where the other brushes come into play because I'm not sure if I'm going to need them or not. And I don't really want these lined up per se. I really don't. So I'm going to do this coming down this way, and it will be using both of the greens that I had been using here. And might do another one. Again, I'm just doing the basic shapes right now. Might be another one like that. And then I'm going to come up here and do the shapes first. Draw them in. And again, they can go around the flower. It can look like that's behind the flower. It really just depends. And then there's some other ones that I'll be doing along with it, but they'll be smaller. Do this and come down. Just doing a quick draw in here. And they should be bigger than what I'm initially drawing them right now, but I might switch over to one of my other brushes. Again, as I mentioned, I'm not sure that I'm going to be using all the brushes that I mentioned in the very beginning. That it just depends on what I need to complete this part of it. So I want to fill them in nicely, and I want them to blend. But you can see really with these brushes, they just cover so nicely. I'm sorry, I just really like them. I mean, I guess I don't need to be sorry about it, but I just think they do. They have nice coverage. And like I said, with what I'm doing here, you could spend a lot of time working on these and blending them to get them the way that you want them to look. Up to you. Definitely up to you. But again, this should be easy for you if you are someone who, you know the basic shapes, you can base coat it and be fine. And then just put your colors in that you're using, and if you want to maybe have a little bit lighter on the top, then make it lighter on the top. If you want darker on the bottom, you can do it however you want. Whatever floats your boat. Because as I say, and I truly do mean, if you're happy with it, that's what's important, not what somebody else thinks. Don't get discouraged. Keep practicing. If you're trying to do this and you just feel like you're not getting it, keep practicing. Please don't give up. I mean, because I look at some of these people on YouTube and think they're awesome. They truly are. And I'm not, other than doing one stroke and getting certified to teach one stroke number 1, I've never been trained. So, you know, you just have to look at that and think, we have no idea unless somebody tells us what kind of training they've had. So you may not be able to compare yourself. If you're self-taught, and you know you're hungry for it and you want to learn, and then you watch the videos, you learn all the different techniques. It's interesting, I think, when you're watching people paint, what such a variety of ways to do things, or do a combination. You don't have to do it one certain way, and don't ever let somebody tell you that you do, because you don't. I mean, people could have really discouraged me at the beginning too, but they didn't. Thank heavens. So my friends used to tease me because they never knew. And I think I remodeled my kitchen once a month. I repainted it, not remodeled it per se, but painted it something different because of something I saw on Trading Spaces or in a magazine, because I used to have some awesome painting magazines. Not so much anymore, I don't know why, because people still like to paint, but they didn't. They kind of stopped, and I saved a lot of magazines, but it's just kind of one of those things where trends kind of come and go, or when they come back, they might be similar but not the same. But I did. I mean, that was my encouragement, were the magazines I was seeing and some of the shows that were on at the time. Just awesome. Alright, keep this going. Like I said, I just don't want it to be too long. And I really don't want to make it a two-parter. Which I could make it a two-parter, but I don't want to. Let's see, this is a basic leaf shape. That's what I mean by learning the basics. And then you can draw them, or you can use a drawing and then paint on that, which I might get more into here soon, offering those, like some painted designs. But until then, sorry, my cat now is crying. He ended up down here with me in my basement. I like those leaves so far. Okay, almost done with this part. And like I said, I could make the leaf bigger. And that, the light source is going to be on the top. And you could vary it if you didn't really care about the light source. Definitely could. And I'm going to go into this. We can make it like it's going around this bud. Kind of, sort of. I'm sorry, I guess that's not a good sign if my furnace keeps starting up while I'm doing this video. Dark into there. And as I've mentioned many a time, when you're painting on glass, the thicker your paint design is, the actual better the coats. And I want to say the durability will be on your painted glass. and it won't come off easily or scratch easily if it's thick. You have to be careful that it's not too thick though, so that doesn't cause bubbling when you bake it. You do need to watch that too. What I'm doing right here really shouldn't bubble. I really don't think it will. Nothing more disappointing than working on something so hard and then it bubbles. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I put all this effort into it and then it bubbled. What am I going to do? I have had that happen before. Okay, so here we have that. What I'm going to do is go back to, let me see here, back to my liner, because I want to deal with my buds. And I'm basically going to draw around them with my #1 brush, script liner style brush. And on these I'm doing my design, and I'm just coming in here and putting in just rows of lines here like this. I'll put this over here. And then come down the center. Come down my center like that. And like I said, I mean, you can fill it in more. It's really up to you. Doesn't have to be the greatest. You can point it, make it more pointier at the tip. Just kind of fill it in a little bit here. And then you can actually come out here and do a design. You pull it down, make these little points here, and come down around it. I mean, this one kind of led into that one, but it's okay. And we'll just fill it in a little bit. See, like, this is easy. I mean, you just have to look at it. Okay, where do I need something? Where can I see the glass? Where is it too thin? I'm going to draw it in. Like that. Okay, let's move over to the next one. And really, whatever script liner you're comfortable with, you don't have to use what I'm using. I just like the coverage of these brushes, so whatever you have on hand is what you use. You definitely do not have to buy new brushes. You know, even paint-wise, if you have paint, you know, as long as it's glass paint, or if it's not glass paint, you're adding an additive to it to make it proper for glass. That's the main thing, because I know I have people ask me, you know, about regular acrylic paint, because this is acrylic paint, but it's glass paint. And you want to make sure that you're using that, because I have heard horror stories where people have painted with whatever, you know, I don't even know specific brands or whatnot, and the paint has come off while their guests are drinking. How embarrassing would that be? Yeah, you don't want that to happen. You really don't. So, instead of getting into that embarrassing situation, you use the right paint, and that has to be whatever works for you, because I do definitely recommend you trying different paints when you're getting into this and see what works for the style of painting that you do. Because we don't all paint the same way. For myself, I could paint, and I paint differently. It just depends on what I'm painting. And that's okay too. You can vary your painting style. It doesn't have to be that you paint all one way. You can paint different things, different products, glass painting, fabric painting, you know, just you name it. There's some type of paint for you. But just don't, you know, in glass it's just a different beast. It really is. I mean, it's something that you really need to be using the right product in order for your project to withhold being used. I mean, that's the thing, is you want the product to hold up. People do need to remember though that this is a hand painted product. So if you treat it with care, treat it like hand painted or fine china, it's going to last for you for a while. It'll be there for you for a long time. Now I have stuff in my cupboard that I really didn't take too much care when I was painting it, and yeah, some of it's chipped, and a lot of that comes from the fact that, and my husband doesn't pay too much attention when he lets something sit in the sink, because you really, with glass painted items, no, you don't just let them sit in the sink. You treat them like fine china, and if you put them in the dishwasher, you put them on the top rack. And these little leaves that I'm doing right now are just cute little leaves that I will put a little bit into around the arrangement. And yes, it is coming over this flower, which is fine. And I'm using the script liner equivalents right here. And you can work on these, which, like I said, I'm not going to do right now, but you know, if you want to keep working on them and making them, you know, different colors or make them stand out a little bit more, you can. I'm just trying to draw them in and get them painted so we get done. I'm sorry if I keep mentioning that. It really does, watch time and stuff bothers me, because I don't want to hold you up too long. And you can put a little tippy end on there. Alright, and so, you know, fill it in with these little leaves sporadically. Now, again, just to reiterate some other things, make sure that you do clean your glassware before you paint on it. That is very important so that you have good, you know, coverage, that the paint adheres nicely to your glass. That will also help with durability. When you're finished painting, allow it to air dry for at least an hour, and then you can bake it. Set it in a cold oven and then turn your oven on. Do not ever put the glass into a hot oven. You're going to cause it to break. You just have to be careful. The sudden change in temperature is not good for painted glass, well, for any glass, to be honest with you on that one. When it's done baking, you then allow it to cool completely before you pull it out. that too is important because, again, you don't want the sudden change in temperature. Alright, so I'm just going to probably put another leaf up here and come back down. Like I said, I don't want to do too many leaves here because I still need to finish up the flower. And then we'll kind of tip it off here. Like I said, you can see how easy this is. It's not, definitely not rocket science by any means. And my videos are meant to be easy. I want you to paint. Paint, paint, paint. I don't want you to be afraid of it by any means. Get some darker in here. When you clean your glass, if you're going to put it in the dishwasher, as I mentioned earlier, top rack only, never place it on the bottom. That will melt your paint, will come off. Don't let it sit in standing water. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? Okay, I'm going to stop with the flowers there, or the leaves, I mean. Now, one thing I had done on my sample when I was painting it is I drew in lines. That's a little fat, but drew them in, pull them like that, just pulled them down the leaf. It actually did better on the paper, but anyhow, kind of almost like a like your watercolors. So you can come down this, bring it down, and then just put in some lines. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. If you don't like this part, that's fine. It just, again, just gives it, that kind of looks messy, gives it a little bit of a different style. Again, you're just putting it down the center here. I'm doing it very quickly. If I would do a little bit slower, it probably would be nicer. Sorry about that. Again, it's just little lines because they're just basically, I mean, they're two colors, but they're basically, like this one's not going to show very well because I do have it pretty dark. But I can put little lines over here. If you have a smaller brush, that might do the detailing a little bit better than this brush. Just putting the paint on kind of thickly. Anyhow, you can just pull it from the center and go on. I'm going to just go around and do it here. Alright. And I think a smaller brush would do better. But you get the gist. I mean, it's just painting in some lines. That's a little different technique than what I typically do. That's what I mentioned. And some of this paint is still wet. It's not dry. So, but you can give it some dry time if you want, or hit it with a hairdryer or a heat gun. And let's see here. I think I have a couple more little ones here. You don't even have to do all of them. If you want to do it, I'll just do some. And just pull it. Like I said, it's not going to be the neatest thing at this point with it being wet. Or if you want to leave this part off, feel free to do so. Matter of fact, on this one, I might want to go kind of fix into the top part here. And when they're darker, obviously this isn't going to show as well. but it's okay. You get the gist. You know, like I said, it could be a smaller brush would probably be a lot better. This, honestly. So I didn't really want them as fat. But anyways, alright, so you get that. Then I'm going to do the centers. I'm taking the Stippler and just stippling it, sticking it into the yellow. And then I'm going to tap into the centers. I'm just kind of turning the brush. And I can turn it as I go around if I want. And I'll just keep doing that in all of these. And then I'll do it just a little bit around the top here. We're going to pretend that we can see some of the inside there. And then we'll do it over here. And while I, painted some of the greenery, then this gave these a little bit of drying time. So they're a little bit easier to work. And I'm going to do this one too, like that. Alright, I like this. Now, I'm sticking the back end of the Stippler into the white, the vintage white. And I'm going to go around here and tap it in. Go around here, tap it in. And then go around this one a little bit. I don't want to get it too full. And you just try to keep it on the center itself as much as possible. And on these, as I mentioned, you can come back and work them out, work them in a little bit more. Or if you like it like that, then just leave it be. I love these stipplers. Definitely like them. I could see even being able to do another color in here easily. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do on here, if I can find my little dotting dotting stylus, is just go back in lightly, put in some fun little dots. Again, when you're doing this, you can do more than one color. You can do a contrasting color. I'm doing one that matches the center. So part of it may not stand out as well, but that's okay. And I'm just doing it randomly. And then come over here. I am going to put some around the folded flowers. Oops. Tap it like that. Yeah, you get the gist. It's pretty easy. And you can, less pressure, get smaller dots. And here we go. Like that. Alright, so here you go. Again, if you like this video, please make sure you give me a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'd love to have you as a follower. Hit that notification bell so you get my notifications whenever I post something new. And last but not least, there's a share button at the bottom of this video. Make sure you hit that. That will allow you to share my videos easily on your social network with all your family and friends. Alright, well, again, I do appreciate you. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until the next time, you have a good one.